Happy Friday afternoon, Norse Nation. These past several months have been trying for our community and our country. What began as an unprecedented global health crisis became an economic crisis not seen since the Great Depression. And in the midst of all this, the underlying social crisis caused by the persistence of systemic racism that has long festered and was brought to the forefront in full and painful view. Yesterday, we held our first summer campus conversation around the current crisis facing our nation and community and the role of higher education. I hope many of you had a chance to hear from Professors David Singleton, Karen Miller, Amal Saeed, as well as Vice Provost Andy Durajai and Dr. Valerie Hardcastle. The purpose of the panel was to further our understanding of the impact of the pandemic and racism and how we might contribute to building a more equitable, just, and inclusive community. I want to thank the panelists for sharing their perspectives. I, for one, learned something new about the history of policing and, of course, the need for reform. The panel was moderated by our very own Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer, Daryl Peel, who is working with the Inclusive Excellence Council to create goals that will help shape our more equitable future through the Success by Design strategic framework. Daryl has also convened the CDOs of 8 area colleges to address social issues of racism and inequality in the region. In fact, you will hear from Daryl momentarily. In the quest for equity, we've been given hope on a national level as recent Supreme Court decisions have upheld the rights of LGBTQ citizens in the workplace and relieved some anxiety for the hundreds of thousands of dreamers in this country who hope for and deserve a clear path to citizenship through federal legislation. As we move closer to welcoming faculty, staff, and students back to campus for the fall 2020 semester, I'm optimistic about the future of NKU. To help us reflect on where we've been and to look ahead, it is my pleasure to introduce the first of our series of summer highlight videos. During each of these video messages this summer, members of Cabinet will share highlights and success stories with the campus. Today, I'm happy to welcome Daryl Peel to talk about NKU's work around diversity, equity, and inclusion, and Vice President for Enrollment and Degree Management, Kim Scranage, to talk about recent efforts to build enrollment and to welcome our incoming freshman class.
Thank you, President Vaidya. Northern Kentucky University is dedicated to creating a more equitable, inclusive, and diverse campus. In January, when I became the Chief Diversity Officer for NKU, I discovered a diverse campus community that values different perspectives and is a great stewardship place. I am excited to help facilitate and develop the first campus-wide diversity goals and the building of a world-class diversity and inclusion program. Recent events in the news have caused all of us to prioritize diversity, equity, and inclusion. The Black Lives Matter movement has inspired us to dismantle systemic racism. And recently, a pair of Supreme Court decisions has given us more reason for hope and celebration. First, the court ruled that the 1964 Civil Rights Act protects gay, lesbian, and transgender employees from discrimination based upon sex. Our fellow citizens can no longer be discriminated against in their workplaces because of their sexual orientation. The court has ruled to not dismantle the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or the DACA program. That was great news for more than 700,000 people affiliated with DACA program. However, the challenge of creating a path to full legal status remains, and we urge Congress and the administration to provide that status with a path to full citizenship through the enactment of that DREAM Act. Yes, we have much work remaining at our university and across the country as we work toward a more equitable society. But let's remember to celebrate these victories along the way as we continue the journey to a more diverse and equitable society. Thank you, stay safe and well, and have a good weekend.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here today to talk and to show everyone how over the past 2 weeks, the enrollment staff and administration have been handing out the NKU yard signs to our incoming class. With the help of the Black Alumni Association, the student orientation leaders, and the NKU Young Life College, we have actually delivered over 600 yard signs to students in the Northern Kentucky, Greater Cincinnati, Lexington, and Louisville areas. Students were able to drive up to select areas, get their sign, and go home and proudly display that they are northbound this fall. And in fact, many of our incoming students showed their enthusiasm by wearing Norse gear or even by decorating their cars to show their school spirit. We are excited that these students have chosen NKU as their destination this fall. Go Norse!
Thank you, Daryl and Kim. There is much to be proud of at NKU. I'm looking forward to hearing from other members of the cabinet through the summer. Finally, I have a happy Norse anniversary coming up. Next week will mark 2 years serving as your president, and I cannot believe how time has flown by. This picture is from my first day when I was able to meet so many of you at a welcome breakfast. It has been my distinct pleasure and honor to serve you as we have worked together to develop and begun implementation of our Success by Design strategic framework. Through this next year, and despite the volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world in which we find ourselves, we will move forward to better serve students as a true steward of place with vision, understanding, clarity, and agility. I could not be more proud of the NKU community, and I'm thrilled to begin year 3 with you. Thank you, Norse Nation, for everything you're doing to stay safe and well, and for everything that you do for this community and our students. I hope that we're all taking some time to stay healthy in mind, body, and spirit, while spending some quality time with loved ones if possible, and especially with the long holiday weekend coming up next week. Have a great weekend.